Alabama faces a stiff test this weekend in Tuscaloosa with Oklahoma come to town. Can Alabama get its offense turned around? Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Welcome into Tide Talk Live. Stacy Blackwood, joined as always by my good buddy Jake Thomas. We are powered by the Believe Network. Can't wait to talk about those guys here in just a minute. Jake, exciting game coming up this weekend in Tuscaloosa. A big time matchup, almost you win it and you're in top matchup if you're Alabama. We'll talk all about all that here in just a minute. Good to see you, bud. How's your week been? Cannot wait to dive into this matchup.
Yeah, Stacey, it's good to see you too, man. And yeah, I'm excited. Great matchup this weekend. And yeah, like you said, we're going to talk about it. We've got a lot to touch on because it is a big matchup and there's a lot at stake in this game.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we do that, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. So give us that thumbs up. And look, like 60 to 70% of our audience on YouTube is not subscribed to the channel right now. So if you're not subscribed, just look down there, smash that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It just helps us out. So we would appreciate that. And once again, we are powered by the Believe Network, which makes us free and available wherever you find your podcast. So make sure you download and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform as well. Also, special shout out. I meant to write it down. I'm going to search it real quick. We had a brand new review on Apple Podcasts from somebody, and I want to read that here real quick while we're here. I just had it pulled up. This is Bobby Roberts 72 gives us a 5-star review. It says, I listen every week and I really like the show. Keep it up and roll tide from Virginia. So thank
Roll
you,
Tide.
Bobby Roberts 72, that left us the review on Apple Podcast. If you do stuff like that, we'll do stuff like this and read it on air, just to kind of a thanks from us to you for supporting the show. But without further ado, Jake, let's get into some Bama Oklahoma talk. Man, I mean this game is so interesting because they're two teams that are very similar when you think about it. Two what I would call elite defenses in college football. Two offenses who, they're not great at running the football, but they have some playmakers at quarterback. So just they're very similar. A lot of talent on the field. Two good coaches in the matchup as well. So this is going to be a fun one on Saturday afternoon in Tuscaloosa. But before we really dive into our, Bama's offense versus the Oklahoma defense and Bama's defense versus the Oklahoma offense, I want to bring up something. The Alabama running game has been a huge storyline for much of the season because it's just hasn't been what Alabama fans and I'm sure the players and coaches would hope it would be this year for the Crimson Tide offense. And it's really put a lot on the shoulders of Ty Simpson. And, for the most part, he's been able to deliver for the Crimson Tide offense. But the running game is not where it needs to be. Right. Some people, and we've talked about how it's never just one thing. It's not just the offensive line, but it's also not just the running backs. It's a little bit of the tight ends. Without Danny Lewis, your best blocking tight end, he hasn't played really much all year, hasn't been healthy all season. So there's a lot of factors that have led to this rushing attack not being as good as what we would hoped it would be. And that has led to some fans calling for freshman running back A.K. Deer to maybe get some carries in this offense. We saw him a little bit against UL Monroe. He broke off the 56-yard touchdown run in that game, which I think is the longest run from scrimmage this year for the Alabama team. So fans have gotten to see how explosive he can be, and they think that maybe he can bring some positive vibes to that Alabama rushing attack. Well, yesterday, I'm sure people have seen it by now, he tweeted out it's a picture of him looking like he's going out for a pass or something maybe, and it's captioned with update ... Here, I'm going to share it here so you can see it for those who have not seen it so far. But this has obviously led to a lot of interesting conversations on social media, and then it led to Coach DeBoer being asked about A.K. Deer during Wednesday's SEC teleconference, and he talked about how he's improved each and every week, and He's getting comfortable being in a college program and things like that. So, just real quick, we're not going to spend a ton of time here because it's pure speculation. Just your thoughts on this tweet from AK Deer. Does it mean anything? Is it just a normal tweet, or it just feels like the timing of this does signify something?
Yeah, Stacy, is the like you said, the timing is very interesting. Because at this point in the season, like you said, we've talked about it. The running game needs some spark in it. I don't know who's going to bring that spark. Daniel Hill has brought a little bit, but it's still not where it needs to be. Now, 10 games into the season, we know it's not going to be perfect at this point in the season, but it needs to be, complementary to, to help Ty Simpson and the guys out wide, so they can make plays. If AK Deer can come in and provide that spark, the running back room as a whole, if they can just get 150 yards as a whole in a game at this point this year, I'll be perfectly happy with that. And so maybe he gets some touches this week. I mean, we have nothing to lose at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the running game can't get any worse.
Right.
I mean, so I think the only thing that you kind of fear if you put AK Deer in the game is how well can he pass protect?
Right.
Is he going to get your quarterback killed? And at this point in the season, Alabama cannot afford to have Ty Simpson injured.
Right.
He is carrying this offense, basically on his shoulders. I know he has a lot of help from the wide receivers and stuff like that, but I mean, without Ty Simpson, where would this offense be?
Mm-hmm.
Not just from what he does throwing the football, but what he does pre-snap, what he does post-snap. I mean, you can't afford to get Ty Simpson hurt if you want to compete for an SEC championship, and make a run in the college football playoff. So I think that's probably the only trepidation you have if you're this Alabama coaching staff with playing a true freshman running back. But I mean, any kind of spark can help, and sometimes just doing something a little different can help too. So, I don't want to, like I said, take too much from this post on X from AK Deer, but I do think it does signify something because it's just really strange that with all the noise around the running game from Alabama, a guy that a lot of fans are kind of have been clamoring for to at least get a couple opportunities in the game, all of a sudden puts out a tweet of him on the football field in an Alabama uniform that just says update.
Right.
So I do think it means a little something. And right now, it wouldn't shock me if we see him for a couple plays this week against Oklahoma. And the running game can't get any worse.
No, absolutely not.
And by the way, somebody commented on our reaction show from Saturday about how negative we were, and I do want to apologize. We were negative, and that's mostly my fault. I was extremely upset with the performance, just the inconsistency and the lack of a rushing attack has gotten a little frustrating when you know what the potential is.
Yeah, for sure.
But just so apologizing for being so negative in our reaction show. But look,
on a win, Stacy.
Yeah, on a win. But that's there's a certain standard that we expect Alabama to play at, and fair or not, that's the standard. And we just want this team to be as good as they can be, and that's all it is. But we don't want to be negative Nancy's all the time either. I mean, that's not who we. First of all, that's not the type of fans we are anyway. We're both very optimistic people, and we still think this team has a chance to accomplish anything it wants to accomplish.
Absolutely,
even without having the rushing attack that we hope that they would have. Speaking of the rushing attack, that's going to lead us into the Alabama offense against the Oklahoma defense. And this is, to me, I think, obviously the game's going to be won by both the offense and the defense. You got to play complementary football. You have to play well on both sides of the ball. But this Oklahoma defense is, ironically, elite against the run, which, that shouldn't scare Alabama because they can't run it anyway. I mean, I don't think they could run it against me and you. So, I mean, can you say that gives Oklahoma an advantage? I'm not sure because Alabama has proven that they can win games without running the football. And I do think there are potential plays to be made in the secondary with this Alabama passing attack. So, to me, what this game comes down to is, can Alabama protect Ty Simpson because Oklahoma is arguably the best pass rushing team in the country.
Yeah, Stacey, that is where I'm focusing on, because it's the passing attack that defensively that Oklahoma, provides, and we haven't had the best, our tackles for sure. Caden Proctor and Wilkin Former. This is games you guys need to bring your A+ game, because you're gonna be attacked the entire game. Those edge rushers for Oklahoma are really legit. And in a situation like this, getting just a sliver of a running game will help this passing attack in this game as well. Now, we've talked about it, and honestly, nobody in the conference has done it yet. But with this passing attack, I mean, we've got 4 legit wide receivers. You can't cover all 4 of them. So somebody is going to be on a one-on-one situation, and then you throw in Josh Cuevas, who's had an outstanding year at tight end. There are plays to be made, against the secondary, like you said. So Ty Simpson is going to have time to find those guys. That's going to be crucial in this game, because we got to have a spark on offense. Offense has looked dreadfully terrible in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just been that they move the ball,
Right.
but they only move it to midfield, and then they just kind of sputter out, and it's just inconsistency, in terms of blocking. You can't run the football. Ty's missed some deep shots. There's just been a lot of variables that have caused this offense to spit and sputter a little bit. And I don't want to say they've taken a step back from what they were doing earlier in the year. It's just almost like they've hit a wall a little bit.
Right.
And so but I talked about how the pass rush from Oklahoma is and containing that is the key to this game. Oklahoma's 3rd in the country in sacks. They've got 33 sacks on the season. I mean, compared to Alabama having 18 on the season.
Right.
So they have nearly twice as many sacks as a team as what Alabama has. I think they have 7 players with 2 or more sacks on the season. So they have multiple players that can make plays and disrupt the line of scrimmage. And so it's up to Caden Proctor and Parker Brailsford and Wilkin Formby and those guys on the offensive line to hold up. They ain't got to be perfect. They just got to, do their job and give Ty the opportunities to make plays, because I do think they can make plays. Ole Miss showed you can make plays on the secondary. Tennessee showed you can make plays on the secondary in the passing game. As long as you give Ty time, I believe he can do the same thing. And that's going to be really critical to this game. I wonder how aggressive Brent Venables is going to be in this game, knowing that, Alabama really can't run the football. So are they going to be ultra aggressive and trying to get after Ty? Or are they going to drop back and play a lot of coverage and just dare Alabama to run the football almost?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just going to be really interesting to see, kind of how Oklahoma attacks this Alabama offense. Another thing in this game that could prove to be something to watch is Ty's mobility.
Yeah.
Ty showed it last week. He made some plays with his feet. We've kind of been waiting all year on some design QB runs. Is he going to get an opportunity this week against Oklahoma to help, give the rushing attack a little bit of a boost? I mean, Alabama is looking for ways to run the football. Is that something they look at this week? But once again, you can't take the chance of Ty getting hurt, because you got to have him down the stretch. So this is a really, really interesting matchup in terms of how Oklahoma is going to attack the Alabama offense and what Alabama tries to do offensively to establish some semblance of a rushing attack.
Right. And, we talk a good bit about, Kane Woolmat's adjustments that he makes in games. A game like this, Ryan Grubb needs to make adjustments, because if he sees that they are, attacking and leaving themselves accessible for a draw play or a quick screen, you need to attack that against a team like this in Oklahoma. And then if they, back 8 into coverage, then daring you to run it, then you ought to do your best to try to get on the outside. And it seems like that's where we have our best, chances of getting some yards on the ground is on the outside of the tackles. Run it outside the tackles and maybe get some wide receiver jet sweeps in there as well.
Yeah, just finding different avenues to
Mhm.
establish a running attack is I mean, I'm not expecting Alabama to go out here and rush for 150 yards against Oklahoma, but you
Right.
have to be able, if you need a couple yards, be able to get it every once in a while. I
Yeah.
mean, now the best play on 4th and 1 is a passing play or a trick play.
That's so sad.
And it is sad, Jake. It really is. And so I just hope that Coach Grubb, because you can't completely abandon the run. And I got to give Coach Grubb credit. He has not done that so far this year.
No, he hasn't.
I mean, despite the rushing attack being as dreadful as it's been, he's consistently been giving the backs the ball.
Mhm.
He's found different ways to kind of run the football, whether it's quick passing game, getting the ball in Jeremy Bernard's hand, getting the ball in Lotsier Brooks' hands like they tried to last week, a handful of times. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that. I
Yeah.
think you're going to try to see this Coach Grubb still continue to run the football, despite Oklahoma being perhaps the best rush defense in the country. So that part's going to be something interesting to watch. And I, if Alabama's offensive line can hold up in pass protection, I'm confident that Ty Simpson and these receivers can make enough plays in this game to score enough points to win this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Stacy. Just it all comes down to how the offensive line plays to me.
Yeah, and that's so cliche in football, but in this, when you're a one-dimensional team like Alabama,
Mhm.
and that dimension that you have is throwing the football, pass protection becomes that much more important.
Right.
And I'll say this: I think this offensive line has done a better job than what most fans think they have done this year in pass protection. And so I think that they can be good enough in this game to 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 move the football and make plays. Now, look, they're going to give up some sacks because Oklahoma's the best pass rushing team in the country, or one of. So they're going to make plays because they got dudes too.
Right.
Now, one of their best pass rushers, Thomas is his last name. There's a chance he's not going to play, and we're recording this on Wednesday, and the first availability report I think will come out later tonight.
Hmm.
So we'll see about that. But if he can't play, that's a huge piece of this game as well, and will go a long way in determining this who could win this matchup. But anything else you want to add in terms of Alabama's offense against Oklahoma's defense that you're kind of watching, maybe a matchup you're watching or anything like that?
I would say an X factor in this game. I feel like could be a guy like Josh Cuevas.
Mhm.
Because he's just certain situations. Ty looks for him, and he delivers each and every time you get him the ball. So I think he could end up having a good day for a tight end in this game because there's going to be so much attention on Jeremy Bernard, on Lotsier Brooks, on Ryan Williams and Isaiah Horton that I feel like he could be open in the middle of the field sometimes.
I'm going to be watching the middle of this Alabama offensive line
Mhm.
because Oklahoma's got an interior guy, David Stone, a true sophomore who's going to be a future NFL superstar from defensive tackle spot against Parker Brailsford.
Yeah.
That's a huge matchup in this game. If
Mhm.
Brailsford can get the best of him, more times than not, I think that could go a long way to determining Alabama's success on offense on Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
All right, Jake, let's look at this Alabama defense against the Oklahoma offense. Of course, John Mateer is the quarterback for Oklahoma. Early in the season, I guess he was maybe the Heisman favorite or one
Mhm.
of the Heisman favorites. He gets the hand injury, probably comes back from the hand injury a little bit too early. You could obviously tell that he was not as confident as he was throwing the football uh, before the hand injury, but I, he's had another week off. Of course, everybody gets a week off where they play Alabama, it seems like. And
Four
uh,
teams this year.
yeah, and you think about Auburn. I mean, they have Mercer. They're off this week. Then they have Mercer. Then they have Alabama.
So
So
3 weeks to prepare.
basically 3 weeks to prepare for Alabama.
Mhm.
Um, that's neither here nor there, but just gets kind of old.
Yeah, no kidding.
But John Mateer is a great player. He's a playmaker. I feel like his legs could be a big part of this game, and I think that's where we need to start in terms of how this Alabama defense plays this Oklahoma offense. Can they limit what John Mateer does with his legs?
Yeah, I feel like they can. They limited Diego Pavia early in the year on what he was able to do with his legs. Kind of made him a pocket passer, and he wasn't up to to the task. And I feel like Mateer, the biggest issue with Oklahoma, I still feel like their offensive line has gotten better, but there's still holes there that can be exploited if it's exploited correctly. And I feel like this Alabama front seven can do that. And you're talking about giving up some sacks on our end. We could potentially get a few sacks in this game as well.
Yeah, and the Alabama pass rush has gotten significantly better as the season has progressed.
Yeah.
Obviously, that charge has been led by Yanze Pierre and how he's just exploded here the last few weeks of the season, and LT Overton starting to get after the quarterback, and Noah Carter's coming off the bench and making some plays. Keon Keeley's making some plays. We know what James Smith can do. Edric Hill's making plays. So this front four, front five, front six, however you want to look at it, in this Kane Womack defense is starting to get after the quarterback, and they could play a huge role in this game because you have to make Mateer beat you from within the pocket. And I think if Alabama can hit him early and often, get him off his mark, get him uncomfortable, that could go a long way in giving this Alabama defense a lot of confidence and playing well in the back end as well with guys like Dijon Lee and Bray Hubbard. But you mentioned the Oklahoma offensive line. They are getting better. There's no doubt. They're a lot better than they were last year too.
Yeah.
But there's a chance they're going to start 2 freshman offensive tackles in this game.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, Alabama has to win at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And it feels like same thing for the offensive line. It feels so cliche to say that. But that's where the game is won at, Jake. And
it's in the trenches.
It's in the trenches. And if you're an offensive lineman, nobody knows your name unless you just gave up a sack.
Right.
And so what Yanze Pierre does, what Tim Keenan, what LT Overton, James Smith, all those guys do on Saturday is going to go a long way in determining the outcome of this game, because they have to keep Mateer in the pocket because he's going to be looking to run, and you can't allow him to escape. So I think pressure on up the middle is huge in this game, and I think the outside guys, the edge players like Yanze, like LT, like Noah Carter, like Keon Keeley, the guys that are playing out on the edge have to do a good job of keeping him in the pocket between the tackles.
I agree that they're in lines of where I think it's going to be one at for this Alabama defense is keeping Mateer in the pocket, and then, like you said, get to him early and often. He'll start making mistakes, and then we could have a INT that will seal the game for this Alabama team.
Yeah, and the rushing attack, a lot like Alabama's, it struggled for a big portion of the season, and now the last couple games for Oklahoma, Xavier Robinson, a guy who lit Alabama up last year, has put on a couple good showings in a row. 9 carries for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns against Ole Miss. Then he goes up to Knoxville, goes 16 carries, 115 yards and a touchdown. So he's got a couple 100-yard performances in a row. He's starting to play well. So Alabama's been susceptible to giving up a big play or two here in the running game. So limiting what Xavier Robinson does in the running game as well is going to be huge, because I have faith that the Alabama secondary is going to make plays given their opportunities.
Right.
It's just about limiting what Mateer and this Oklahoma and Xavier Robinson do in the running game. If they can limit those explosive plays on the ground, I have confidence that this defense can have a lot of success.
Yeah, absolutely, Stacey. I got my eyes on like Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson and guys like that. Green Hill, he's come on and been a ledge the last couple of weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks now.
I think he was the highest graded off-ball linebacker by PFF this last weekend.
These guys need to be on their A game this weekend, and they all three have been playing great. And I feel like the whole linebacking core has been playing great the last 4 or 5 games. They've coming on and been playing really, really well. And I really feel like if they get to the second level, they're not going to get too many yards after that, because those guys, even in open space, they're making the tackles.
Yeah. So this defense, man, you got to give Kane Womack a lot of credit. It's so similar to last year that the defense started turning the corner around the Missouri game or so.
Yep.
And then they were really, really good down the stretch. Now, the Oklahoma game last year did happen.
Yeah.
I feel like it was an anomaly,
I do
but it
too.
did happen.
Mhm.
And the offense did not help the defense whatsoever,
Nope.
scoring, 3 points the whole game?
Yeah, that was awful.
A pick six, and then another pick that led, right into scoring position. So,
Mhm.
that game did happen, and I think Alabama's players remember that. I think that's going to play a role in this as well. So, anything else you want to add defensively for Alabama? I mean, I think the X factor to me is just Alabama's ability to get after Mateer early in this game.
Yeah.
I think they need to make plays early on him in this game in the backfield. Get him rattled.
Yep, I agree 100%. And once he's rattled, I think that's when, like you said, the secondary can make their plays, given the opportunity.
Yep, create turnovers. I
Right.
do think whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win this game.
I agree. Mhm.
All right, Jake. We're winding on down. It's time to get to our bold predictions. Obviously, we do one for each side of the ball each and every week. We're rarely right, but we are going to continue to do it.
It's
So
fun. It's fun to do, though.
So,
Mhm.
and we want to hear from you guys as well. So, in the comments right now, give us your bold predictions for this matchup on Saturday. One for the offense and one from the defense. Jake, the floor is yours.
Defensively, I think this secondary gets 2 picks in the game against Mateer. And one of them I feel like will be a knot. I feel like a knot is coming on in this game. We hadn't had one in a couple games. We're due for another one. And offensively, you talking about bold. I'm going to be very bold here. You made the comment earlier that you feel like Oklahoma is going to get a few sacks because they're good. I don't think I don't think our offensive line is going to go up any sacks. I think Wilkin Formby, Caden Proctor, especially the outside guys, those two guys, they're going to have the best game of their career Saturday night. Because, like you mentioned just in our last segment, the guys remember what happened last year's game. And, we're 2-0 in revenge games this year. This is the third one. We're going to be ready for it. I just hope, we can sustain offensively and defensively and get better running the ball. We don't have to be perfect, but at least be play complementary football. But I feel like this offensive line is going to have a great night and prove why Caden Proctor is a top 10 pick. And I know everybody's been on Formby, but I feel like a lot of that's not really his fault. He's still kind of young, still working. I feel like he's going to have a big night and not give up any sacks either.
Those are both. We should have just renamed this extremely bold takes.
Yeah.
A non-offensive touchdown and no sacks given up to the best pass rush in college football. Those are certainly bold, but I love them both. And I'll say this: if both of those happen,
Alabama's win.
It may be like Josh Pate. I don't know if you've seen this. Josh Pate says Alabama's going to win by 10+, and
wow,
and kind of flex.
Okay,
and he's extremely confident about it.
Yeah, and he's around the program.
he put it on his Ramen Noodle Express, which is like that's what he's really confident in it. So
right,
maybe he's thinking along the lines of you that the offensive line is going to show up and another knot's going to happen. So those are two really good bold predictions. I don't even know how it follows up. Now whatever I say is not going to sound very bold at all.
That should have let you go first.
I'll say this. I think Yonze Pierre has another multiple sack game.
Yep.
So that's my big defensive bold prediction. And my offensive bold prediction is that Zay Horton catches 2 touchdown passes.
Oh, love it. I think it's time to get him involved.
Yeah, he he's banged up a little bit. But when he's been healthy and he plays a lot of snaps, he's been productive.
Absolutely.
Especially catching touchdowns.
Yep.
So I got Zay Horton catching a couple touchdowns and Yonze Pierre getting at least a couple sacks.
Yep.
And those don't seem near as bold as no sacks allowed for Alabama and a non-offensive touchdown for the Alabama defense. But all right, guys, it's time for our score predictions. And once again, we want to hear from you. Jump in the comments. Give us your score prediction for Alabama, Oklahoma. Right now, FanDuel has the Crimson Tide as a 5.5-point favorite, and the over and under set at 46.5. Jake, once again, we have not talked at all about a score prediction in this game. So we could be on the same lines or we could be completely far apart. But what's your thoughts on the score prediction?
I think it's going to be a juggernaut matchup. I mean, both teams come in with really great defense, like you said. I think I saw something this week. Points per game defensively for Oklahoma is like 12. They only give up like 12. Alabama's only giving 18 a game, and we got 31 pieced against Florida State. That's on that. But other than that, I think the most has been scored on us is 24. So the defense is playing really well right now. I think Alabama's going to win this game. They're going to take over the second half. Brent Venables, what he has done at Oklahoma, I mean, he's got some really good players. They're not to the talent level of Alabama yet. So I think eventually that talent's going to take over. It might be late third quarter or early fourth quarter, but I think Alabama dominates the fourth quarter and they kind of extend their lead. And I think they're going to win 27-17.
Okay, so you got a 10-point win for Alabama. I love it. I love your thoughts on the game. I think I think you're right. I do think it's a heavyweight matchup. And another interesting point is, last year Alabama went to Norman with their playoff hopes on the line.
Yep.
This year Oklahoma comes to Tuscaloosa. If they lose, they're done.
Right.
So their playoff hopes are on the line, on the road, at a hostile environment. They got to have it. Can Alabama do to Oklahoma what Oklahoma did to Alabama last year?
Yeah.
So this game is it's setting up to be a strange game.
Yep, it is.
A lot of people are predicting to be super close. I think there's going to be a lot of people that pick Oklahoma to beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in the room of, I feel like this Alabama team maybe finds itself on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They become who they've been trying to become all year.
Yeah.
They I don't want to say meet their full potential, but they become who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Alabama wins this game 31-20. I think maybe Oklahoma scores late in this game, but I really believe that Alabama's going to get after Mateer early and often, get him extremely uncomfortable. Alabama's going to get up by a couple scores in the first half and kind of coast the rest of the way, and come away with a 31-20 win over Oklahoma and kind of flex its muscles a little bit and show and kind of almost that's their bid in the playoff, because regardless of what happens against Auburn, it doesn't matter. You're going to finish the season 10-2 and probably go into the SEC championship game, and then regardless what happens in that, they're not going to,
a loser shouldn't.
They're not going to make the loser of the SEC championship game miss the playoff. So this is basically Alabama's chance to punch their ticket to the CFP.
Right, exactly.
And it's their chance to get revenge, like you said, on the third team that beat them last year, that kept them out of the playoff last year. So I just feel like there's a lot of things that people are overlooking in this matchup. And, Oklahoma got outgained like crazy by Tennessee, which is a really good offense. I think Alabama's got a good offense too.
I do too.
Ole Miss has got a good offense. And what did they do against Oklahoma?
Right.
So, and I'm not taking anything away from Oklahoma's defense. They have a really good defense. But into today's college football, if you got a quarterback and you got some receivers, you're going to score on just about everybody.
Look what Texas did to him.
Yeah. So I just feel like there's going to be a lot of people riding Oklahoma this weekend, and I think Alabama's going to show up ready to play and make a statement.
Yeah, I agree with that, Stacey. We've talked about this is a different team than last year's team that went to Norman. It's just a completely different team. Same players, but the mentality is totally different than that team that went to Norman last year.
All right, guys. That's going to wrap it up, man. What a fun show as we looked at this, big-time matchup between Alabama and Oklahoma. Cannot wait for Saturday afternoon. Of course, we'll be here live in the postgame, good Lord willing, for our reaction, hopefully to a lot of excitement about getting a win over Oklahoma and basically punching the ticket to the college football playoff. So Cannot wait for that and look forward to sharing that with y'all here in just a few days. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you do like, share, and subscribe, not only here on YouTube, but also wherever you find your podcast as well. Shout out to the Believe Network for getting us out on the podcast platforms. But for Stacey Blackwood and Jake Thomas, this has been Tide Talk Live. We'll see you again real soon. Until then, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.